Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, and I have a rather unusual video to share for you guys today. Now, I do not usually report on any Microsoft news because I'm a big Sony fanboy and proud of it, but news like this is just a little bit too big to ignore, and I feel like I need to give my immediate thoughts on it. So I wake up this morning and I see something rather big trending on Twitter, and it is revealed that Microsoft has purchased all of the properties to Bethesda. That's big. That is a big move, and just before the pre-orders for the next Xboxes are coming out. So this was a very big strategic move, and Twitter and the whole gaming industry is just going completely insane. You've got Xbox fanboys saying, haha, we've won the next console generation war. You've got PlayStation fanboys freaking out and making all sorts of weird decisions. There's a lot of very mixed emotions going on. There's a lot of mixed details going on, but all I can say is this: if this is really going to play out the way I expect it to play out, and Bethesda is really going to make exclusive games, or some of these properties, and make them exclusively for Xbox and PC, all I can say is this: this was a good move. This was a good move. This is just, it's unfortunate, because heck, I mean, I admit, I have not played all of these properties, so games like Dishonored, I'm not a fan of that. Elder Scrolls and Fallout and something called Starfield and Prey, I'm not a fan of any of those games. I've never played any of those games. I've never had any interest in playing any of those games. But games like, something like Doom, which I openly confess, Doom Eternal was probably my favorite first-person shooter that I played this generation, and something like Wolfenstein, which I thought was pretty incredible, and followed by The Evil Within, which is like probably my third favorite survival horror series behind something like Dead Space and Resident Evil. So the idea that they might be Xbox exclusives, I have to confess, is a little bit sad. However, the one saving grace that allows me to kind of calm myself and say, you know what, I can let those go, is the fact that as great a games as those are, none of those games are good enough to the point that I would buy a console just to play them. So a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to be my primary reason to get an Xbox. And if that's what you're going to do, that's fine. And then there's some people that are going to be like, okay, well, now I have a reason to buy both consoles. And, some people are going to do that. I personally don't believe in doing that. I believe in sticking with just making sure all of my games are played on one particular console, and that's just kind of how I've been since, I would say, the PlayStation 2 days, and I don't really feel a need to change that. So again, as sad as it is to possibly see all of those games go, I can let them go. Now, the response from several other communities has been going a little bit crazy, because now I'm seeing Konami trending, and Sony fans are calling for Sony to buy Konami, and as a response. And that idea doesn't seem too crazy. However, I think Sony fanboys or other than me are just freaking out a little bit too much, because that's kind of how things work. Microsoft does something, Sony does something to respond, and it's funny that Nintendo is like off in the corner doing its own thing. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I think if they did manage to pick up Konami, that would be a big move in itself, because Konami has some key gaming properties, and they're not really doing anything with them, because if we're being honest, when you have franchises like Silent Hill and Castlevania, and especially Metal Gear, which is my favorite video game franchise of all time, and Konami has not done anything with these properties. I mean, let's be honest, let's run down the list. They haven't made a Silent Hill game in 8 years. They haven't made a Castlevania game in 6, and they haven't made a Metal Gear Solid game in 5. This would be a great time to see these properties return in a big way, especially from the type of quality games that we are certainly going to be getting in this next generation of console gaming. But then I've seen other people say that maybe they should try to get Square. Square seems like a better fit, and especially since we know that the next Final Fantasy game is going to be a console exclusive that is also going to come out on PC. There's a lot of mixed things. So while I am, again, sad to possibly see these games go, and the idea that I may never play another Doom game, or I may never play another Wolfenstein game, or I may never play another third part to the Evil Within series. That is unfortunate, but again, as I said earlier, none of those games were good enough to the point where I would buy a console for them. Now, if they picked up Konami, now that would be overwhelming. That would be a stab to the heart. Now that would get a freak out reaction from me. But all I can say is this: all I can say is that with these type of moves and with Microsoft picking up these key properties, all I can say is that this next generation seems to be a lot more interesting, because I'm a firm believer that competition breeds progress. And if Microsoft does a very good job with these properties, that just means that Sony with its properties has to step up its game. I think it was pretty one-sided for this current generation of console gaming, because Microsoft just made so many mistakes and Sony took advantage of that. So it seems like Microsoft has learned from its mistakes, is picking up multiple different properties, and is trying to be much more, let's say, unlinear. And they really trying to make a serious comeback. And heck, if they manage to pull that off, that just encourages Sony to want to step up its game. And that only helps everybody, because that just means that, heck, our quality of games now has to go up. We can't just start half-assing things. We need to put some serious effort and maybe create some new IP properties. And if that comes, well, heck, then I have a lot of games that I will be able to play exclusively on my PlayStation 5 when I get it later on next year. So, yeah, that's just my initial reaction. I'm not too freaked out about it. I don't know if Sony's going to respond, but it's sad to see those franchises go. But heck, I just can't wait to see what we're going to do, because I know that Sony is the type of company that ain't going to sit down on this. So I think we're going to respond in a big way, in one way or another. So those are just my thoughts and reactions to the news that Microsoft has purchased Bethesda. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. Are you kind of freaked out about all this sort of happenings? How do you think Sony should respond? And would you be willing to pick up an Xbox to play some of these games? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you happen to enjoy this video, do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see this and enjoy more, see more of my content. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.